Oscar season is truly underway, people. There's been so many different awards players finally releasing, and today I got to see another one, and that is Steve McQueen's Blitz. So, let's get into it. So Blitz is Steve McQueen exploring the Blitz, the time in London's history during World War II where Germany would be flying over that city and dropping bombs. It was a very harrowing time in history being connected to World War II, and this film looks to explore that in many different ways, and there is a lot of social commentary underneath all that. This film has a lot that it wants to say, and I think for the most part, Steve McQueen does a pretty good job at that. If you don't know some of Steve McQueen's work, he has done some pretty foundational films, some movies that I would consider to be essential cinema. Something like 12 Years a Slave, which won Best Picture a little over 10 years ago. And then directing the Small Axe series, bunch of different movies covering different social themes. And this feels like Steve McQueen trying to get Oscars a little bit more while sticking to some of the structures and some of the commentary that he has been pretty consistent on throughout his filmography. And I think, like those films, it does a really effective job of doing it for the most part. It definitely held my attention and had me so engaged throughout its runtime. And this thing is so technically well crafted that I do definitely understand some of the Oscar buzz that it has been receiving. The film predominantly follows two characters, a mother and her son. The son is played by Elliot Heffernan, and the mother played by the great Saoirse Ronan. And these two deliver some absolutely phenomenal performances. Elliot Heffernan delivering a child performance that is just absolutely wonderful. There is a lot riding on this kid's shoulders throughout the movie. He has to deliver in a lot of pivotal scenes, and I think he does a really good job of that for the most part. And Steve McQueen gives phenomenal direction here to deliver a performance out of a child, one that is definitely so heavy and carries a lot of weight. This kid goes through a lot throughout the course of this movie, and some might even consider it to be a little bit too much, as it seems to be jumping from problem to problem that England had faced in those times and is probably still going through today. You know, we're talking about World War II. There are these social themes about racism. There are themes surrounding the time where children were forced to work in England, and there are also subtle social themes in here about socioeconomic status and the ignorance of people that live in a higher socioeconomic status. As I said, there's a lot that this film is going to tackle here, and because of that, that might be seen as a bit of a flaw with this movie, because nothing truly sticks. Something like 12 Years a Slave, the characters are put through a hell of a lot through that movie, but it really hits a massive punch by the end of that film because it stays so consistent that you are following Solomon through that journey, and you're so compelled by everything that is going on, this harrowing journey. And by the time we hit that really emotional finale, you just get hit with all of that at once as you've been processing everything that that character has been going through, because it consistently sticks to the point. Blitz suffers a little bit because it is moving from point to point. Now, that doesn't say that I didn't connect with the characters, because I did, and I do consider this to be a great film. I like it a lot more than what some other people have been saying about this movie, but that is definitely the key flaw that I noticed when watching this film. But other than that, I loved a lot about this movie. I think the performances, as I said, are terrific. Elliot Heffernan, fantastic. Saoirse Ronan, I think, is deserving of supporting actress buzz. She is a phenomenal actress, always has been. I have not seen her give a bad performance, and that remains the same here. She is so compelling in this movie. The first 5 to 10 minutes of this is just kind of an acting masterclass from her, as you're just instantly drawn to these characters and connecting with them, and really selling you on the bond between this mother and son. and what the film manages to put them throughout the movie makes you connect with them at an even deeper level. And that's both a testament to Steve McQueen's phenomenal direction and these masterclass A-list performances. There are also some great smaller performances in here too. Harris Dickinson was okay in his limited capacity. It was tough wondering why he was put in this film, this specific character, because it doesn't serve too much of a purpose, but he is good in this limited role. Stephen Graham is fantastic in his very villainous performance. And then Benjamin Clementine delivers in one of the more poignant sequences of the film between him and Elliot Heffernan. The dynamic that these two share in this film was very special and gave this so much heart. I really thought going into this that this would be a technical showcase with not a lot of heart, and I couldn't be more wrong there. There is a lot here to be emotionally invested in, and that was the biggest surprise for me when going into this movie, because yes, I knew this film would be pretty technically brilliant, and guess what? It is. The whole way around, I think this film looks beautiful. The cinematography is astoundingly gorgeous. I thought the production design as well, recreating this era in London, was so immersive. It really pulls you into that world and what these people went through during that time, the tension that you faced when there's just dead silence happening. We know what that means in terms of history, and in the film when something like that happens, it just gives you such a sense of foreboding. And the brilliance of Blitz, I thought, was the fact that none of these characters felt safe at any point in time. If I was worrying about one character and not worrying about the other, it would quickly shift the complete opposite way, and it would keep doing that to where I was really feeling a lot of tension for these characters, and I genuinely felt that ramp up a lot as we started getting to the third act, and it starts getting pretty dicey for everything that is going on here. It's stressful, it feels harrowing, it feels devastating, but honestly, I thought this film was pretty beautiful in terms of everything it managed to achieve, and I really, really liked watching it. Another thing as well, I really wanted to see this on a big screen. The scope of it does feel like it's made for a cinema screen, especially with the sound. I thought there was terrific use of sound in this movie, not just because it's loud, but because sometimes it's deadly quiet. And when you get both of those, it's definitely a smart use in what it's trying to do. It's not just trying to be this big, loud spectacle. It's using its sound in very purposeful ways that impact the film in positive ways. And I think that's very smart. And once again, I feel like those things will be heightened so much more when you're watching it on the big screen with loudspeakers playing. This film is made for that. As a whole, I thought Blitz was a pretty excellent film, to be honest with you. I know it hasn't been getting too much love, but to me, I just didn't really agree with a lot of what people are saying about this movie. And I might be the odd one out here, but I'm going to tell you that I quite enjoyed this movie for what it was presenting to me. I think Steve McQueen is a phenomenal filmmaker who has continued to turn out such impressive work. Stuff that shares stories that need to be told. And surprisingly, for such a massive part of our history in the world, a story like this you just don't see being told all that often, which, as I said, just blows my mind in some ways. And this, bringing that to life in such an impressive way, with so much heart and beauty, I just couldn't help but be floored by this experience and fascinated in what it was presenting to me. And as a score, I'm going to give Blitz a very strong 4 out of 5, because this film, I think, is great and is worthy of the Oscar buzz. And those are my thoughts towards Blitz. If you've seen the movie, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.